Have you ever, just imagined escaping the present moment, hurtling through time, maybe, to see what truly lies ahead? But
Hmm.
what if that future wasn't just different? What if it was so profoundly altered that, well, the very idea of humanity radically changed?
Well, that's exactly the kind of territory H.G. Wells takes us into. Welcome to our deep dive into his foundational science fiction masterpiece, The Time Machine.
Right. And today we're really digging into those crucial opening chapters.
Yeah, where the time traveler first lays out these, cool, frankly, wild theories
And then actually builds the thing and goes.
and confronts a future that's, let's just say, far stranger than even he anticipated.
So our mission, really, is to unpack those core ideas Wells embedded in there about time, evolution, society.
Definitely. And we're using excerpts straight from the Project Gutenberg ebook of The Time Machine.
Covering that initial dinner party debate, the model demonstration,
His dramatic return looking like he's been through a war.
and then his first pretty harrowing experiences way off in the year 802,701 AD.
You'll hear about the characters, the theories, the big reveals. It's amazing how much punch it still packs.
It really does. So where does it kick off? The theory itself.
Right, so picture this. It's after dinner, very luxurious vibe. Guests are lounging around the time traveler.
Cozy chairs, fireplace, that sort of thing.
Exactly. Wells describes these chairs, the time traveler's own design apparently, that embrace and caress them. It sets a mood where, thought runs gracefully free.
And the time traveler himself?
He's flushed, animated, his eyes are shining. He's ready to drop a conceptual bomb on them.
And he gets right to it, doesn't he? No messing around.
Nope, calls it a recondite matter. Basically, he starts by saying geometry, the stuff you learn in school, it's flawed.
Blah!
He says lines and planes, they're just abstractions. They don't really exist. It's a bold start, questioning something so basic.
Yeah, that's a heck of an opener. But he's got a bigger point, right? He's not just picking on Euclid.
Precisely. He's paving the way. He then hits them with it. Time is simply the fourth dimension.
Whoa.
Okay. He says there's no difference between time and any of the three dimensions of space, except that our consciousness moves along it.
You have to remember, when he was writing this.
Oh, absolutely. This wasn't just sci-fi talk. It was borderline heresy, pushing physics, philosophy, hinting at stuff Einstein would explore later, challenging that whole fixed Newtonian view of things.
And he has that analogy of the portraits.
Yeah, the portraits. He says pictures of a man at different ages, 8, 15, 23, whatever. They're just sections of his permanent four-dimensional self.
Like slices through a long thing.
Exactly. Trying to make them visualize time as another direction you could theoretically move in.
Okay. So how do the guests react? I mean, the medical man tries to argue, right?
He does. He brings up balloons, vertical movement.
Yeah.
Like, we can move up, but that's different.
But the time traveler shuts that down.
Pretty much. He insists we're always moving through time, from the cradle to the grave. We're constantly getting away from the present moment.
And this is where he reveals his big idea.
This is the germ of my great discovery, he calls it. The big question. If we can move around in space, why not time? Why can't we speed up, slow down, or even turn around?
Mind-bending stuff for a dinner party.
Totally. And the reactions are, well, predictable. Philby, the argumentative person with red hair, he just dismisses it.
It's against reason.
Yep. You can show black is white by argument, that kind of thing. Pure skepticism.
But not everyone's like that.
No, the very young man gets it. He's just like, to travel through time. You can almost hear the wonder in his voice.
And the time traveler, he just smiles.
Yeah, says he's got experimental verification. Classic Wells, huge scientific reveal right there in the drawing room.
Which leads us to the machine, or the model first.
Right, he brings out this glittering metallic framework, small like a clock.
Delicate looking, ivory and crystal.
Very delicately made, yeah. And it's got levers. One for future, one for reverse, even a tiny saddle.
He puts it on the table, tells them to check for tricks. He's enjoying this, isn't he?
Definitely. He's playing the showman.
And then what happens? Who pushes the lever?
The psychologist gets the honor. He presses it and poof, vanished. Just gone. The narrator mentions a breeze, a lamp flame jumps, a candle blows out. It's dramatic.
How did he take that?
They're stunned. Philby swears. The psychologist actually looks under the table.
Right, it just fell off. Hilarious.
And the medical man is just incredulous. You seriously believe it traveled into time. You can feel them trying to process it.
But the psychologist comes up with an explanation, right, to sort of calm everyone down.
He does, yeah. A clever one. He calls it a diluted presentation. Says it's just moving so fast, 50, 100 times faster than us.
Like the spokes of a wheel blurring.
Exactly. Getting through a minute while they live a second. So the image is just too faint to see properly. It sounds scientific enough to almost work.
Almost. But does it really explain away what they saw? Or didn't see?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
Yeah.
Anyway, after that, he leads them off to his lab.
To see the real deal.
The big machine nearly finished. Similar, but bigger. Nickel, ivory, rock crystal. And he's dead serious now.
I intend to explore time. Is that plain? I was never more serious in my life.
That's the line. No ambiguity.
And yet,
Yeah.
they still don't quite buy it.
The narrator says none of us quite believed. They found him too clever, almost distrusted his brilliance. Sometimes the truth is just too strange, I guess.
Or maybe the messenger is too dazzling.
Could be. Anyway, jump forward a week.
Another dinner party.
Yep. Same crowd mostly, plus an editor and a journalist. But the time traveler's late.
And when he shows up.
It's quite the entrance. He comes in slowly, quietly. But he looks awful.
How awful.
Disheveled, haggard. The socks are torn, bloodstained, face smeared with dust, maybe green stuff. Looks funny, the narrator says, but not in a ha-ha way.
And he's clearly desperate for basic things.
Absolutely. I'm starving for a bit of meat. Champagne. Then just wants to wash and change. It's raw.
Reactions.
Mixed again. The original guests are concerned, like, good heavens, man, what's the matter?
But the new guys.
Yeah.
The press.
Totally skeptical. Think it's a trick, a hoax. The editor's already thinking headlines. Remarkable behavior of an eminent scientist.
Always looking for the angle.
Pretty much. But the time traveler cuts through it.
What does he say?
Confirms it. I have been time traveling. Says he's lived 8 days unlike any humans ever lived before.
Wow. And he'll tell them.
He will, but on one condition.
No interruptions.
Exactly. Because, he warns them, most of it will sound like lying. So be it. It's true. Every word of it, all the same.
Quite the setup for a story.
You bet. So, cleaned up and fed, he starts his tale. He explains the machine was delayed and nickel bar was too short. Finished it that very day around 10 a.m.
And then he just went for it.
Sat in the saddle, took
Yes.
the levers, and launched himself.
What was the sensation like? Did he describe it?
Oh, yeah. Excessively unpleasant, like a switchback. That helpless, headlong motion. A nightmare sensation of falling.
Sounds pretty rough.
And the visuals. Night following day, like the flapping of a black wing, the sun hopping swiftly across the sky, the moon spinning through its phases, stars circling, dizzying.
How fast was he going?
Incredibly fast. Over a year, a minute at one point. He sees seasons flash by snow, then the bright, brief green of spring.
Just compressing centuries into moments.
Exactly. Until he decides to stop.
And the arrival.
Abrupt. A clap of thunder, hail hammering down. Finds himself on soft grass, the machine overturned.
And the first thing he sees in this future, 802,701 AD.
Is that colossal figure of white marble, the winged sphinx, sightless eyes, faint smile, ominous and ancient.
And then he meets the locals.
Almost immediately,
Right.
these little figures appear.
Little house.
Slight creatures, maybe 4 feet tall, beautiful and graceful, but also indescribably frail.
Frail.
Yeah, he notes their flushed faces like consumptives. They wear simple purple tunics, bare legs, no hats.
Are they scared of him? This strange man appearing out of nowhere?
Not at all. No sign of fear. They just laugh easily, come up to him with eager cries of astonishment.
What do they look like up close?
He calls it a Dresden china type of prettiness. Curly hair, tiny ears, small mouths, big mild eyes. But he also senses a lack of interest about them.
A lack of interest. Strange. What does that suggest about them?
Well, it fits with everything else he sees. Their whole culture seems built around ease. They give him flowers. They get startled by thunder.
Where do they live?
In these big palace-like buildings. No small houses anywhere. And they're vegetarians.
Only fruit.
Seems like it. Delicious fruit, he says, especially some flowery thing in a 3-sided husk. And crucially, no farm animals around. Horses, cows, dogs, all gone. Extinct.
What about communication? Language?
A strange and very sweet and liquid tongue. But he found it hard to learn mostly concrete words, few abstract ideas. He felt they were indolent or tired easily.
And they all look quite similar.
Yeah, he couldn't really tell the sexes apart by clothes or build. And another thing, no old people, no infirm people, just these youthful, delicate beings.
So, what's his first take on all this? His initial theory?
He thinks he's found humanity upon the wane, the sunset of mankind.
Sunset. Why sunset? It sounds kind of nice, if a bit simple.
Because he sees it as the end result of too much success. Humanity conquered nature, achieved perfect comfort and security, and then got weak.
Ah, the logical consequence. No struggle, no strength.
That's his idea. Hardship and freedom, he thinks, are what create intelligence and vitality. Without them, well, you get the Eloi.
So Wells is giving us a warning, maybe, through the time travel.
Absolutely. He suggests energy went into art and pleasure, then faded into languor and decay, flowers, dancing, singing, that's all that's left. He even thinks maybe population control worked too well.
Explaining the ruins in small numbers.
That's his first guess. But he does admit later this is only a half-truth, just one side of the coin.
Because things take a darker turn.
Right. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Big time. He goes back to where he landed, maybe feeling a bit smug about his theory.
Yeah.
The time machine is gone.
Gone, just vanished again.
Vanished. He describes the panic as physical sensation. Suddenly he's stranded, hopelessly cut off. Utter terror.
Can the Eloi help? Does he ask them?
He tries, frantically, shows them where it was, tries to convey his fear.
And they
just stare, laugh, or cry like frightened children.
Yeah.
It hammers home their physical and intellectual inadequacy.
Yeah.
Beautiful, yes, but useless in a real crisis.
So he's alone. What does he do? Does he find any clues?
He does. This is key. He spots a groove ripped in the turf near the Sphinx. And footprints?
What kind of footprints?
Queer, narrow footprints, like a sloth might make.
Yeah.
Leading right to the base of the Sphinx.
The Sphinx again?
Yep. He investigates the pedestal, finds bronze panels that look like doors. It's hollow. He figures his machine must be inside.
But how did it get there? The Eloi couldn't have moved it.
Exactly. He senses some hitherto unsuspected power at work. He's also been wondering, where does their food and clothing come from? There's no sign of work or machinery.
Other odd things.
The heat, hotter than his time. These weird flickering pillars he's seen, vents in the ground, like for underground ventilation.
Uh-oh.
And then, looking down one of these wells, he sees something, a glimpse.
What?
A bleached, obscene, nocturnal thing. White, ape-like, scurrying away from the light.
Okay, that is not good.
Not good at all. This sighting completely shatters his Golden Age theory. It leads him to realize there's a second species.
Morlocks.
The Morlocks, the undergrounders. The bleached look, the huge sensitive eyes that hate the light, it all points to living underground.
So the wells are entrances. The whole world is tunneled.
That's his deduction. The Earth must be tunneled enormously. This isn't a simple decline, it's a divergence, a split.
And he connects this back to his own time, right?
Yeah.
Social classes.
Directly. He sees it as the endpoint of the widening gap between the capitalist and the laborer.
So the Eloi are the descendants of the rich, the haves.
Yes. Stayed above ground, pursued pleasure, art, beauty, and gradually decayed into prettiness.
While the workers, the have-nots,
went underground, into the factories, the tunnels, adapted to the dark, kept their industry, their initiative, became the Morlocks. It's a powerful and pretty bleak social commentary from Wells.
So the triumph of humanity wasn't just over nature,
but over nature and the fellow man, creating this strange new aristocracy.
But the irony is,
the science and comfort the capitalists created led to the Eloi's degeneration, while the Morlocks, the former servants, became the actual power.
They still serve the Eloi, though, making their clothes and stuff.
Out of old habit, he thinks. But the power dynamic is flipped. The Eloi need the Morlocks, and they fear them.
That fear of the dark they showed.
Suddenly makes perfect chilling sense. The nemesis was creeping up on them. The old order was reversing.
And the absolute worst part, that meat he saw underground.
He puts two and two together. When other meat failed them.
Oh, God, they eat the Eloi.
That's the horrifying implication. The Elois have become cattle for their former slaves.
His encounters with them must be terrifying then.
Absolutely. He describes them descending into the tunnels. Pallid bodies, clammy, filthily cold to the touch.
The faces.
Pale, chinless faces and great, lidless, pinkish gray eyes. They hate the light, but they're strong. They try to grab his matches, pull him down.
What do they sound like?
Peculiar cooing sounds, queer laughing noises. It's utterly alien and terrifying. He feels like a beast in a trap.
And the nights must be the worst.
Especially with the moon waning. Longer darkness means the Morlocks come up to hunt. He realizes he needs a safe place.
The museum. The Palace of Green Porcelain.
Right. Finds old rusty machines, but crucially, no weapons. Only matches and some camphor.
Fire becomes important.
Hugely important. He notes that fire is completely new to Weena, the Eloi girl he's sort of befriended. She doesn't understand it.
So he makes a fire for protection at night.
But he falls asleep, and they swarm him. Soft creatures heaped upon me, little teeth nipping at my neck.
How does he fight back?
He finds an iron lever in the museum, uses it like a mace. He describes the feeling succulent giving of flesh and bone. It's brutal, desperate survival.
But something goes wrong with the fire.
Yeah, maybe his fire gets out of control, or the Morlocks scatter embers. A forest fire starts. He sees their reddish backs as they flee the flames.
And Weena?
She's gone. He loses her in the confusion, the fire, likely dead. He's devastated, feels intensest wretchedness.
That loss seems to crystallize his thoughts, doesn't it?
It does. He calls it the rigorous punishment of human selfishness. Humanity sought comfort, lived off others' labor, and this is the result: decay and predation.
The final conclusion about the two species.
The upperworld man drifted to feeble prettiness, the underworld to mere mechanical industry. And now the mechanics feed on the prettiness.
It's so bleak, but he needs his machine back.
Right. Despite the grease, he heads back to the Sphinx. He sees the Eloi, clearly now just cattle living pleasant lives with no foresight, destined for the Morlocks.
And he gets the doors open.
With the lever he found, yes, he forces open the bronze panels. His machine is there.
So he escapes.
He gets in, but in his haste, or maybe panic, he pulls the lever the wrong way, or too far. He goes forward. Way forward.
Into the really distant future now.
Yeah, the sun changes, becomes a huge dull red dome, eventually stopping in the sky. The moon is gone. Stars barely move.
What's happened to Earth?
It stopped rotating. Tidally locked, one side always facing the dying sun.
What does it look like?
Desolate. Black sky one way, deep red overhead, scarlet where the sun hangs, red rocks, weird green moss and lichen. Thin air. Utter silence almost.
Is there any life? Anything moving?
Oh yes. But not human. Not Eloi or Morlock. Something new.
What?
These monstrous crab-like creatures, big as tables, claws, antennae, stalked eyes, crawling on the shores of a still, salty sea.
Wow. That's quite a picture.
He calls it abominable desolation. The colors, the silence, the foul monsters, the poisonous-looking plants, the thin air. It's the end of the world as we know it.
Does he go even further?
Yeah, he does. Pushes on, maybe 30 million years.
And then?
Even the crabs are gone. Just the green slime, the liverworts and lichens. It's bitterly cold. Snow starts falling. The bloody-looking sea is still unfrozen, strangely.
Any movement at all?
He sees a planet, probably Mercury, crossing the face of the huge red sun. An eclipse. And then, one last thing moving.
What is it?
A round thing, maybe football size, black, with tentacles.
Yeah.
That's the last sign of life he sees before he just faints, basically, and instinctively pulls the lever to go home.
And he makes it back to his own lab.
He does. Lands back in the present, totally disoriented.
But he has proof this time, right? Not just the story.
He thinks so. He shows the guests the withered white flowers Weena had given him.
The ones he put in his pocket.
Exactly. And the scars on his knuckles from fighting the Morlocks. Plus the machine itself is battered.
How so?
Cracked ivory, bent rail, brown spots and smears, bits of grass and moss stuck to it. Looks like it's been through hell.
Do they believe him now?
Still divided. The editor just calls it a gaudy lie.
Typical. But the medical man.
He notices something interesting about the flowers. Their structure, the gynoecium, is odd. A little scientific detail that lends credibility.
I'm the narrator, the one telling us the story.
He's torn. Can't decide.
Yeah.
The story is so fantastic and incredible, but the telling was so credible and sober. That classic Wellesian ambiguity.
What about the time traveler himself? Does he fully believe it?
He struggles. Admits, I hardly believe it myself. Wonders if it was a dream. Madness.
Oh.
He needs to check the machine to confirm it's real.
And then?
He decides to go again. Packs a camera this time, a knapsack. Promises to bring back proof, specimens and all.
He wants undeniable evidence.
Seems like it. He says goodbye, heads to the lab.
And the narrator waits.
Hears an exclamation, a click and a thud. Rushes in just in time to see a ghostly, indistinct figure as the machine vanishes again.
With the time traveler on board this time.
Yes. And he never comes back.
Never.
3 years pass. No sign of him.
So we're left wondering where he went?
Exactly. Back to the Morlocks. Further back to dinosaurs. Or maybe forward again to a time that answered his questions. We just don't know.
It leaves you with that thought the time traveler had, doesn't it? About the advancement of mankind maybe just being a foolish heaping destined to collapse.
It's pretty bleak assessment, yeah. He wasn't exactly optimistic after what he saw.
So we've traced this incredible journey from that after dinner chat about dimensions.
All the way to the death throes of Earth, witnessing humanity's strange divergence and decline along the way.
And the time machine, it really is more than just, a thrilling adventure story. It feels like a genuine warning.
Definitely. It pushes you to ask uncomfortable questions, like, what is the price of total comfort? What happens if we eliminate all struggle?
And what does being human even mean if things like intelligence and drive aren't needed anymore?
Right, but there's that one final image the narrator leaves us with, those two withered flowers from Weena,
Yeah, he holds on to them.
and says they witnessed that even when mind and strength had gone, gratitude and a mutual tenderness still lived on in the heart of man. Which is surprisingly hopeful, maybe.
It does leave you thinking. It raises that final question for you, listening now. If you imagine some far, far future, beyond anything we can conceive, what human qualities do you think might actually last? What endures when everything else fades?